Good afternoon, welcome back to T3. On today's show, we have a little bit of a different setup for a cooling review. I've got the ML240P Mirage here on my left, so let's get stuck right in. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is basically test our existing system, which has the Master Liquid Pro inside of it. It's running an Asus X370 Pro motherboard and an 1800X. So it is a bit of an older Ryzen processor, but it's still an 8-core 16-thread 120-watt chip, so it can pull some decent current. You might see some very insane voltages because I've left it on the Asus performance mode, so it is going as much as 1.5 volts. So there's no lack of power being pushed through the chip. And as you can see, based on this graph, at the moment, our bottom temps are about 29 degrees. So it's at about room temperature. I'd say it's probably about 24, 25 degrees inside here at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a single run of Cinebench R15. I'm using R15 and not R20 because it loads the CPU in a bit of a different way. This is a bit better of a test still than the R20. So we're just going to give this a single run and then check what our temps are. You guys can ignore the scores because I haven't culled all the extra software. This is obviously running monitoring and AI suite and all other rubbish in the background. But what we're looking for here is temperature performance. So at the start of this, we are seeing it go as high as 120 watts. So it is pulling the maximum wattage from the chip, and it is looking like it's going to settle on 57. So yeah, 57 degrees at the end of a single Cinebench run, which is pretty good. But that obviously isn't enough data to base a whole cooling review off of. So we are going to be using our trial version here of Ada 64. And we are going to load it for 10 minutes and then come back and see what the scores were like. And off we go. See you in 10 minutes.
2 hours later.
Alrighty, so we left it a little bit long because we went to have a cup of coffee, but I did call it. At 21 minutes, it's stabilized at 64 degrees, all right, on the 100% load. So we are going to stop it there. So we got 57 from our single Cinebench run and 64. So you could surmise in gaming and we'd probably sit at sub 50. But from these two tests now, we're going to haul out this old Master Liquid Pro and shove ourselves in a brand new Master Liquid ML240P Mirage. I'm quite excited about this kit because it's got their brand new fans, the shrouded fans, similar to what Asus had actually done on their Strix graphics cards. This will be the first time I'm using these kind of fans on a water cooling kit, and they've updated their pumps slightly. So without further ado, let's rip this out and get stuck in. Alrighty, so we've got the ML240P Mirage slapped into our full Cooler Master build on the side. I must say the new fans are quite spectacular. They have changed a little bit of the mounting. This is a much bigger bracket that actually sits in for the AM4s. You can have it orientated either way. It is much nicer having both cables coming out of the same side of the pump, I must say, and they are quite a bit longer. So it'll be a lot easier to install this into a bigger chassis. I have hooked this up with the controller that it comes with and just kind of left it on this default profile. So there will be more movement if you do have addressable RGBs. The controller itself is quite limited. I couldn't find a scrolling kind of setup for it, but it does have the functionality, I'm sure, in there. There's just so many settings. We're just obviously focusing here on performance because if you have addressable RGB, then you'll be able to do whatever you want with it really. This board, being a slightly older board, doesn't have that functionality, but once again, we're here to test cooling. So we're going to start off with the Cinebench. We're going to see what the run produces temperature-wise on our hardware monitor over here. So have a look. It's already up to 70 degrees, 72 degrees, 73 degrees. It is a bit warmer inside the studio at this time, but it's definitely not giving us the performance that we had hoped for, at least on initial looks. I did do a test with the case completely open and saw 57 degrees. So I thought, let me close it up and we'll see what we get to. And it's already spiked all the way to 73. As I say, it is quite a bit warmer in here now than it was earlier in the day. But let us do the good old IDA 64 test. Let's leave this for 10 minutes and see what our results look like.
3 days later.
Alrighty, so basically after our 10 minutes of IDA 64 stress test, it increased by 1 degree, a single degree, which is actually quite amazing for a couple of reasons. One, this is a smaller pump, so it has less thermal efficiency because it can move the water around. It moves the water around at a slower rate at least. And then this here pump, or these fans, didn't increase their fan curve at all. They stayed completely at 900 RPM right throughout a practical render test. So this kit, being a more entry-level RGB, or at least addressable RGB kit, is actually doing exactly as advertised. So I would say another win from Cooler Master. ML240P Mirage definitely gets a thumbs up. We'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. The only reason I'm dropping half a mark was they changed the back plates. I very much like the back plate. I know it's going to be a lot cheaper to produce, which helps to bring that cost down and make it more available to a lot more people. So all around, good job from Cooler Master. I love your new fans. I'll take some for free. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for watching. Hit us up with a like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.